Mr Deputy President, this Parliament has finally received the Animal Welfare Committee's report on the management of cat populations in New South Wales. And let me say from the outset, it confirms every farmer, every conservation hunter, every wildlife carer, every conservationist and every person living on the land has known for decades. Feral cats are devastating, relentless threat to Australia's native wildlife. The report acknowledges that we face an urgent need to manage cat populations across both the urban and wild environments. It accepts without qualification that predation by cats, particularly feral cats, is listed as a key threatening process under both New South Wales and Commonwealth law. And it notes that wild cats are identified as a management priority in 38 threatened species programs across this state. Just think of that. The facts are in, the evidence is overwhelming. The cat problem is not hypothetical, it is real, it is measurable, and it is lethal. This is not about beloved Moggy asleep on someone's lap. It's about what happens when that same animal is roaming, when instinct takes over. The evidence presented in the inquiry shows that a single roaming domestic cat kills, on average, up to 110 native animals every year, and a feral cat kills many, many times more, up to 790 native animals of all descriptions a year. That means one fertile, uncontained cat is only ever one generation away from becoming part of the estimated 2.1 to 6.3 million feral cats devastating Australia's wildlife. No amount of fluffy, wishful thinking or selective blindness can change those facts. And yet some deluded and misled people who cannot face reality continue to argue that we shouldn't act decisively. They place untested theories and feel-good policies ahead of hard realities of predation, biodiversity loss and the collapse of vulnerable species. We heard calls for fertility injections for millions of wild cats, gene drives that even the scientific community says are decades away, immune contraceptives that are still theoretical, and trap and neuter return schemes that fail to reduce predation and, in many cases, increase the burden on shelters and councils. The government's own response to recommendation 9 admits that there is, and I quote, limited evidence to support further investment in fertility control technologies and that they will continue to monitor developments, which is bureaucratic code for I don't expect anything soon. Meanwhile, feral cat numbers grow. Meanwhile, threatened species continue to disappear. Meanwhile, wildlife rescue groups report hundreds of cases of cat attack victims with survival rates as low as 20%. Mr Deputy President, the only proven humane and effective way to control feral cats right now is lethal control, not because we enjoy it, not because it's easy, but because it works. Yes, it works, and nothing else comes close at the landscape level of control that we need. Farmers know it, scientists know it, conservation hunters know it, Indigenous rangers know it, national park staff know it. Every wildlife volunteer who collects the mauled remains of native animals knows it. We can invest in better tools, we can expand conservation fencing, we can improve trapping and shooting programs and deploy Felixer and the PAP baits more widely in place of the inhumane alternatives like 1080. But the core truth remains. The only good feral cat is a dead feral cat. We must stop pretending otherwise. It is time to bring on the bounty and get the whole community involved. The longer we allow ourselves to be distracted by ideas that cannot work at scale, fertility control, voluntary containment without enforcement, and the belief that urban cat management alone will solve bush-wide problem, the more wildlife we will lose. It is time to get our heads out of the clouds and face reality. If we are serious about protecting endangered species, reducing suffering among wildlife, reducing enormous strain on rural communities, councils and pounds, and restoring ecological balance, then we must commit to serious active feral cat control across New South Wales. And this means expanding paid shooting and trapping programs, rolling out feral cat bounty, supporting the deployment of modern humane baiting technologies where appropriate, building more feral cat-free conservation areas, ensuring rural landholders are empowered, not hindered, to control feral cats on their properties, and directing public funding toward methods that have proven results, not speculative science, not experiments, not fluffy, not fluffy BS. Anything less is environmental negligence. Mr. Deputy President, our native wildlife cannot wait for the theoretical technology. They cannot wait for multi-decade research pipelines, and they cannot survive if we continue to tiptoe through the tulips, dancing around the reality of feral cat predation. We have a responsibility to act with clarity, with courage, and with full understanding of the evidence before us. For the sake of our wildlife, our ecosystems and future generations, let us finally do what needs to be done. We need to get out and sort out the feral cat problem once and for all, and for the good of New South Wales and its wildlife and ecosystems.